Good morning to all. Introduction. Tax, invoice, credit and debit notes. The rules which speaks about tax invoice, credit and debit notes. Let us understand each rule which are applicable for tax invoice, credit and debit notes, and then proceed further. Rule 46 speaks about tax invoice. Rule 40A, invoice come bill of supply. Rule 47, time limit for issuing tax invoice. Rule 47A, time limit for issuing tax invoice in cases where recipient is required to issue invoice. Rule 48, manner of issuing invoice. Rule 49, bill of supply. Rule 50, receipt voucher. Rule 51, refund vouchers. Rule 52, payment voucher. Rule 53, revise tax invoice and credit or debit notes. Rule 54, tax invoice in special cases. Rule 55, transportation of goods without issue of invoices. Rule 55A, tax invoice or bill of supply to accompany transport of goods. Then next one we will be discussing about accounts and records. The rules which speaks about the accounts and records. Rule 56, maintenance of accounts by registered person. Rule 57, generation and maintenance of electronic records. Rule 58, records to be maintained by owner or operator of godown or warehouse and transporter. Rule 57 speaks about generation and maintenance of electronic records. Rule 58, records to be maintained by the owner or operator of godown or warehouse and transporter. Now we will be discussing about returns, the rules which are applicable for returns. Rule 59, form and manner of furnishing details of outward supplies. Rule 60 speaks about forms and manners of ascertaining details of inward supplies. Rule 61 speaks about forms and manner of furnishing of returns. Rule 61A, manner of opting for furnishing quarterly returns. Rule 62, form and manner of submission of returns and statement. Rule 63, form and manner of submission of returns by non-resident taxable person. Rule 64, form and manner of submission of returns by person providing online information and database access or retrieval services. Rule 65, form and manner of submission of returns by input tax input service distributor. Rule 66, form and manner of submission of returns by the person required to deduct tax at source. Rule 67, form and manner of submission of statement of supplies to an electronic e-commerce operator. Rule 67A, manner of furnishing of returns or details of outward supplies by short messaging services facility. Rule 68, non notice to non-filers of returns. Rule 78, matching of details furnished by e-commerce operator with the details furnished by the supplier. Rule 80, annual returns. Rule 81, final returns. Rule 82, details of inward supplies of the person having unique identity number. Rule 83, provisions relating to goods and services tax practitioners. Rule 83A, examination of goods and services tax practitioners. Rule 83AB, surrender of enrollment of goods and services tax practitioners. Rule 84, conditions for purpose of appearance. Now we will be discussing about payment of tax rules. Rule 85, electronic liability register. Rule 86, electronic credit ledger. Rule 86A, conditions of use of amount available in electronic credit ledger. Rule 86B, restrictions on use of amount available in electronic credit ledger. Rule 87, electronic cash ledger. Rule 88, identification number for each transaction. Rule 88A, order of utilization of input tax credit. Rule 88B, manner of calculating interest on delayed payment of tax. Rule 88C, manner of dealing with difference in liability reported in the statement of outward supplies and that reported in the return. Rule 88D, manner of dealing with difference in input tax credit available in auto generated statement containing the details of input tax credit and that availed in the return. Then refund. Rule 89, application for refund of tax, interest, penalty, fee, or any other amount. Rule 90, acknowledgement. Rule 91, grant of provisional refund. Rule 92, order sanctioning refund. Rule 93, credit of amount of rejected refund claim. Rule 94, order sanctioning interest on delayed refund. Rule 95, refund of tax to a certain person. Rule 95B, refund of tax paid on inward supplies of goods received by canteen stores department. Rule 96, refund of integrated tax paid on goods or services 220 exported out of India. Rule 96A, export of goods or services under bond or letter of undertaking. Rule 96B, recovery of refund of unutilized input tax credit or integrated tax paid on export of goods where the export proceeds not realized. Rule 96C, bank account for refund credit of refund. Rule 97, consumer welfare refund. Rule 97A, manual filing and processing. Assessment and audit. Rule 98, provisional assessment. Rule 99, scrutiny of refund. Rule 100, assessment in certain cases. Rule 101, audit. Rule 102, special audit. Audit advance ruling. Rule 103, qualification and appointment of members of authority for advance ruling. Rule 104, form and manner of application to advance authority of advance ruling. Rule 105, certification of copies of advance ruling procedure pronounced by the authority. Rule 106, form and manner of appeal to the appellant authority for advance ruling. Rule 107, certification of copies of advance ruling pronounced by appellant authority. Rule 107A, manual filing and processing. Thank you very much for today. Let us connect tomorrow. Thank you very much.